The Supreme Court, they're dismissing Justice Varma's plea. This is a plea not worth entertaining, is what was said by the Supreme Court while dismissing that plea, challenging the in-house inquiry report that recommended Justice Varma's removal after a large amount of cash was found at his residence earlier this year. The Supreme Court dismissing that petition filed by the Allahabad High Court Justice Yashwant Varma, challenging the in-house inquiry report which indicting him in the case at home. This is the cash that was found at his residence during Holi. Do remember there was a fire that broke out. He wasn't at home at the time, but when the fire department reached there, when there were people attending to that issue, they found lots of money at his residence. So this is a plea that was taken up by the Supreme Court and has been dismissed, as well as the then Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna's recommendation made to the President and the Prime Minister for Justice Varma's removal. So that was a plea that came up in the Supreme Court that was categorically dismissed on the grounds that it was not even worth entertaining. So a big setback when it comes to Justice Varma, with the court there dismissing his plea in the cash Hall row. And we're talking about the Supreme Court there dismissing the petition by the Allahabad High Court judge. We're talking about Justice Varma challenging that in-house inquiry which indicted him in the case. This was the cash that was found at his residence during Holi. The verdict paves way for the Parliament to quicken the impeachment proceedings against the judge, who had also challenged the Chief Justice, the then Chief Justice's recommendation to the President to remove him. Importantly, a bench of justices held the constitution of the in-house committee that the inquiry, as far as the procedure is concerned, followed by it was not illegal. The Chief Justice of India and the in-house committee scrupulously followed the process, except uploading photos and videos, and we have said that it was not required, but nothing turned on it because you did not challenge it then, is what has been said. Now, we have held that the Chief Justice of India sending letters to the Prime Minister, the President, was not unconstitutional, and we have made certain observations where we have kept it open for you to raise proceedings if needed in the future, is what the Supreme Court has gone on to add. Well, the grounds on which they have rejected this plea is that it wasn't worth entertaining. That is what has been said. So this is a huge setback when it comes to Justice Varma. Do remember that this was Holi. There was a fire that broke out at his residence, and that is why people from the fire department were there, and that's when they recovered a huge stash of money. There was a lot of money that was recovered. Justice Varma there, completely playing ignorant there, saying that he wasn't in the know how that kind of money reached his residence. This was a room which was, on the outside, where all this kind of money was stored, and he, of course, trying to claim that he had very little to do with what was really found at his residence during Holi. He wasn't even at home at the time. And of course, Nupur joining us to get us what really has happened in the Supreme Court. Well, a case not worth entertaining is what the Supreme Court has gone on to say while dismissing the case altogether. And what does this really mean going forward, Nupur?
Well, yes, in fact, this is in fact a big setback for Justice Yashwant Varma from the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court has not only rejected his entire case against the procedure adopted by the then CJI Sanjeev Khanna, but has also raised questions on his conduct. The Supreme Court has bench headed by Justice Dipankar Datta and comprising Justice A.G. Masih have in fact went on to say that Justice Varma's conduct did not inspire much confidence, and that's why they were not at very first inclined to even entertain this petition.
Of course, basically, it was Kapil Sibal and Mukul Rohatgi, that were in fact raising all these objections. And of course, Nupur, take us through what is it that the Supreme Court has gone on to say, and what options are basically left for Justice Varma?
Well, the Supreme Court has went on to frame 6 questions, and in all 6 questions, the verdict has in fact went against Justice Yashwant Varma, and the Supreme Court has, however, said that his further legal options would be open to him, but the next step would be in Parliament, and whatever the decision is by the Parliament, Justice Varma would have an option to challenge that in courts later on.
Because the central government there reportedly planning to bring an impeachment motion in a Parliament to remove Justice Varma from office. In fact, we have Ashish Bhargava also joining us in order to get us the very latest on this. A huge setback as we have been discussing. But what options are left, and what does this mean for Justice Varma going forward?
Yeah, see, as Justice Varma has left no legal option as of now. Now he has to appear before the committee. If Parliament has decided to form a committee, he has to appear because all his legal remedies are closed now. Supreme Court has clearly says he can take his stand. He can speak to the committee in future if there is some formation of any committee. He can go and tell all his contention on this issue. But as after the Supreme Court big judgment order on Justice Yashwant Varma petition, Supreme Court has clearly set out said this writ petition can't be here. He can't. Supreme Court can't hear this writ petition, and it is not maintainable. Supreme Court will not interfere in this all because the procedure started by the then Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, was very well in the domain of his capacity as Chief Justice of India, and it is constitutional also. Supreme Court, although Supreme Court has some reservation about uploading the video and all reports in a website of Supreme Court, but Supreme Court bench headed by Justice Dipankar Datta, also Justice Masih.
Right. Just hold on. Let's just also get in Nalin Kohli, who's joining us on the phone line. Sir, a huge setback when it comes to Justice Varma, and we've been discussing where does this leave him? What kind of options does he really have here?
Several things have become clear with today's pronouncement of the judgment by Justice Dipankar Datta and Justice Masih on Justice Yashwant Varma's petition. A, that the procedure followed by the then Chief Justice of India, Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna, was correct in letter and spirit in terms of the judgment which was laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court, the Veera Sabi judgment, and also the procedure envisaged under the Act. Second, the fact that Justice Varma chose not to present himself before the committee obviously could not have helped him if he was to challenge the entire procedure at such a belated stage. The issue per se relates to the question of a large unaccounted sum of money being discovered in his house when a fire incident is reported, and the money is large quantities in sacks. Now, the presence of such a large sum of money, unexplained, within the residence of a judge, even if it's on the outhouse, obviously calls for credible answers and explanations. Those answers and explanations were not forthcoming, and hence a mere denial was not enough. And therefore, given the video footage, given the nature of the incident, the then Chief Justice immediately constituted a committee. A report came first from the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court. And after Justice Upadhyay gave that report, then the three-judge committee was formed with Chief Justice of Himachal Pradesh, Justice Justice Sandawalia, Justice Sheel Nagu from Chief Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, and Justice Sivaraman from Karnataka High Court. They all met with a large number of witnesses, followed the procedure, came with that report. Based on the report, the removal procedure or the impeachment procedure is now to be considered by Parliament, and that is pending because certain signatures have been given already. Parliament is not functioning, so the one will see how that pans out. But the judgment of today is completely on expected lines, because one would have wondered that on what basis a challenge so belatedly, in the absence of Justice Varma having participated in the inquiry proceedings, how could it have been maintainable?
Right, the court there, of course, saying that he has very little ground to stand on, and which is why they wouldn't even entertain this plea. Nalin Kohli.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with us here on NDTV. Ashish Bhargava there joining us in order to get more on this. Of course, when we're talking about no violation when it comes to the judges' fundamental rights, and of course, there has been complete compliance, and that is what is being communicated here. And the communication, in fact, is that there's been nothing unconstitutional here. and that is what the Supreme Court has gone on to say. So this is, of course, in regard to the grounds that were being raised by Kapil Sibal and Mukul Rohatgi fighting the case on the behalf of Justice Varma. A huge setback there. Well, this is in the court. They're saying that this plea will not be entertained, and that is because the Supreme Court has dismissed the petition that has been filed. In fact, Justice Varma there was challenging the in-house inquiry report in which he was indicted. That indicted him in the cash at home scandal, as well as the then Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna's recommendation that he should be removed. And so this is, of course, Ashish back with us. Ashish, take us through the details of this case. It all started on the 14th of March when this, a huge amount of money that was recovered from his residence. And of course, he completely washed his hands off it, saying he was not in the know-how. He had no idea how that money reached his residence in the first place. He wasn't at home at the time. Take us through the details from then to now.
Can you speak again? Can you question again?
Yeah, just get us a background on this case from when it started to where it's reached.
Yeah, this happened in the late night of 14th March. That was Holi night. There was a fire in his official bungalow in Delhi, and the firemen and the policemen went there in the outhouse of that government bungalow, and they found some piles of cash was burnt, and they made a video also, and then this information was transferred to was given to the police commissioner of Delhi Police. Delhi Police Commissioner spoke to Chief Justice Justice D.K. Upadhyay of Delhi High Court, and then Delhi High Court Chief Justice told all this matter to the Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna. After this, Justice Sanjeev Khanna sought a report from D.K. Upadhyay as well as the Justice Yashwant Varma. Both filed a report to CGI, and Delhi Police also has given a video of burning piles of notes in the outhouse of Justice Yashwant Varma. After that, Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna decided to have a procedure of in-house inquiry as per the Ramaswamy judgment. Also, he has constituted 3 judges in-house inquiry committee for this. Also, he uploaded all the video as well as the report of D.K. Upadhyay, Chief Justice, and Justice Yashwant Varma response on the website, the official website of Supreme Court. After that, the 3 judges committee investigate this case and file a report to Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna and indicted Justice Yashwant Varma. After getting this report, CGI Sanjeev Khanna referred this matter, recommended his removal of motion to the President and Prime Minister of India, and this was done by the Chief Justice, and Supreme Court, the role of Supreme Court as well as CGI was stopped here. Also, CGI wrote a letter to Chief Justice Allahabad High Court not to give any judicial work to Justice Varma till the inquiry has held. So now the ball is in Parliament's court, and from now, after this judgment by Justice Dipankar Datta and Justice A.G. Masih, the Justice Yashwant Varma has got a huge setback.
The 6 issues
all the legal
also raised the 6 issues that have been raised by the bench in terms of maintainability to liberty.
Yeah, because all the contention raised by by Justice Yashwant Varma as counsel, senior advocate Kapil Sibal was rejected by Supreme Court. Maintainability, liberty, the in-house procedure, all the 6 contingents, the 6 issues, Supreme Court has decided and said the petition filed by Justice Yashwant Varma is not maintainable. It should not be heard. Also, Supreme Court says it's not a matter of right to appear before the committee for his contention. That is not matter of right for Justice Yashwant Varma. The in-house procedure adopted by then Chief Justice of India, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, is very well in the law and not constitutional. So Supreme Court has rejected all the contention of Justice Yashwant Varma. However, the bench who has given this judgment has clearly said that the uploading of video and all reports by Chief Justice of India could have been avoided, but Justice Yashwant Varma never challenged that uploading of this video. That's why Supreme Court is not giving any judgment or any order on this. Also, they said that the conduct by Justice Yashwant Varma, the whole procedure, did not inspire confidence. So they rejected all the contestants who said wait for Justice Yashwant Varma. Now ball is in Parliament's court and he has no legal option right now. Yes.
Right, of course, compliance with process is what has been really said here as well. We have Satish Manashinde joining us as well. Thank you so much for speaking with us here on NDTV. The big question being, what is the option left for Justice Varma and where does this case go from here?
First of all, I must say that on the day when his bungalow was under fire and the currency notes were found, it was very clear that it was found in the premises under control of Justice Varma. His secretary and his staff, on the instructions of Justice Varma, destroyed evidence, and therefore, in a case like this, it was a clear case of corruption that a judge has been found with so much cash in his bungalow. He couldn't say that this premises was not under control because the evidence recorded by the committee subsequently has proven that it was within his control, the keys were within his control. But be that as it may, the entire legal proceeding that was initiated in the Supreme Court was totally misconceived because Justice Varma went through the entire proceedings of the committee appointed by the Supreme Court. He did not challenge the jurisdiction. He did not raise any point of objection as to how the video was circulated. It was not leaked. It was circulated on the site of the Supreme Court to say that we are conducting a transparent investigation. So I feel very apprehensive that such a large legal team of top legal experts could initiate such a misconceived proceeding before the Supreme Court and waste time of the court, particularly when the proceedings are lying directly in the Parliament, in both the houses of the Parliament.
Right, sir. Sir, what is the process to impeach a judge in India?
What is
the process to impeach a judge in India?
Well, just now, this gives a very bad taste of, protracting legal proceedings. And they should be shot down at the first initiative.
Right, so thank you so much for speaking with us here on NDTV. We also have my colleague Nupur Dogra joining us. Nupur, from the 6 issues that were raised in court, we're talking about from maintainability to liberty. Take us through those 6 issues.
Well, yes, Divya. First of all, the Supreme Court said that at the outset, the first issue was the conduct of Justice Yashwant Varma. And they said even on that only, by going the conduct of Justice Yashwant Varma, it was not inclined to hear the case at all. But since legal questions were being raised, the Supreme Court said that it went into further 5 questions. So the further 5 questions that were raised essentially by Justice Yashwant Varma were with regards to the procedure adopted by the then CGI, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, first of all, in initiating an in-house inquiry against it. Secondly, putting everything on Supreme Court website for the public to view. That included the video that was made from his premises when the cash was recovered and all the documents of the inquiry submitted by the Delhi High Court Chief Justice. Now, this was also challenged by Justice Yashwant Varma. Thirdly, he had challenged the constitutionality of CGI's recommendation letter to the Prime Minister and the President. Now, on all these fronts, the Supreme Court said that there was only one deviation from the then Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, that was putting everything out for public on the Supreme Court website. But the Supreme Court said that if Justice Yashwant Varma had a problem at that time, he should have challenged it then and there only, and thus it cannot go into his favor right now. The Supreme Court said that for now, all the contentions that were raised by Justice Yashwant Varma stand rejected. The Supreme Court also said that it is not commenting more as it wants further legal options for Justice Yashwant Varma to remain open. So these were very strong observations made by the Supreme Court bench, while saying that they have refrained from going into details so that further legal options are open to him after the procedure in Parliament is completed. So the next step will be in Parliament, and it is in fact today is in fact indeed a very big setback from Justice Yashwant Varma from the Supreme Court.